Welcome to WRL Broadcast. I am Hate Mail. With me today we have M4.
Hello, everybody.
And special guest Retpmus. And we are discussing his new game, Alliance Altered Dimensions. For those of you that haven't listened to the previous episode with M4 and Retpmus, I encourage you to go back and listen to it before you listen to this one. We'll go into a little bit of just a brief summary of the game, but he talked about it in great detail with M4. Really good information. If you were a DC Legends fan, which if you're listening to this podcast, I am certain that you are, or were at least. So go back, listen to it. This game is going to be very similar in playstyle, in kind of, some of the buffs, debuffs, that type of thing that you're kind of used to. And for those of you that like this style turn-based play, you will, I think, enjoy this game, which I'm super excited about it. As those of you that's seen the Indiegogo campaign, I'm the highest level sponsor on it, so that's how much I believe in this game and am interested in it. M4 is as well, and so is Burger, so is Luke, so is I never can remember what name he goes by. M4. What
He
name?
goes by Chalupa Batman now.
Okay, he's Chalupa Batman. He changes his name every other month, so it's...
No, he doesn't.
he does. Pretty cool. It's been Chalupa the Batman not that long. Before
For
it
the
was...
last 2 years.
Okay.
For the last 2
That's
years.
not that long.
He went by... He cloned it for a year and then changed it to Chalupa and never changed it since.
But for those of you that haven't listened to the previous episode and won't take the time to do so, why don't we have Retpmus just give us a quick background of what the game is, just kind of your high level describing the game, and then we'll get into the Indiegogo.
Okay, sure. Basically, the game is going to be set up to where there are multiple dimensions or worlds. Each world in the game is its own unique story arc to it. So basically the first dimension that's going to be available is a Supreme Hero dimension. And that's where all your superheroes and supervillains, characters that fit into that genre is going to be. So it'll be very familiar to like DC Legends right off the bat because, it's superheroes. And then it will have its own story that completes, and it will have multiple levels of that story as well. And the thing about it is those will be updated as well. Even though there will be new dimensions added, there will still be more chapters added to those stories, or it might be like all of a sudden, a new branch in the tree of stages appears, and that might be where you can do a boss battle or something to get a new character in the game or some unique item. So it's not going to be stagnant. It will always, I'm going to try my best to always like make these live, ongoing. And then like the next dimension I would be supernatural, and that's where we have all the supernatural creatures that we all love, like Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They're characters, that have been around forever, and there's been multiple iterations of them. So I'll get to make my, version of these characters for everybody to play.
Since you don't have to pay for licensing and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, they're public domain characters, just like how Robin Hood is and King Arthur. So I'll be able to add all these cool characters that we all know and love, but we'll be able to team them up. It'd be like, Hate Mail with King Arthur beside him, cool things like that. I mean, how cool is that really? I mean,
yeah, I think most people do love all the mythological, different types of characters. And you even see like DC and Marvel creates, like Marvel has, Marvel Snap that I've been kind of tinkering around with again a little bit. They have a werewolf character, and he's a comic book character, but he's basically just werewolf, which you could include werewolves in your game.
Oh yeah, there's a werewolf planned for it as well. I'm not going to call it the Wolfman like Universal did. it's just going to be, a werewolf, and I'll give him some type of supernatural name. But zombies will be in there as well. I mean, there's no limit really to the possibilities that we can create in this. And of course, the third dimension is what a lot of people have messaged me about and said they're really excited. Is the Arthurian dimension? King Arthur going against like Morgan Le Fay and Mordred, and having all the knights of the Round Table that you can play as. That seems like a big fan favorite, King Arthur story. So that'll be like my third one. Then after those dimensions are released, I want to release every 3 to 4 months. I'll either release an entire new dimension, whether it could be like a world where gods really do exist, like Zeus, and we'd also have cross like Norse mythology also mixed in. So you could have Thor, you could have Hercules, we could have Poseidon. I mean, it's limitless, So we could have it. I was going to call it like War of the Gods, so we can have those characters also on your team. So, I mean, it's just, there's so much potential with it, not being bound by one specific genre, that gets me really excited about it.
That's awesome. So, in the game, can you kind of just describe what the play is like in comparison to DC Legends?
The play is, I would say, 90% identical to DC Legends. Uh, the layout scheme will have a few different modes that you can choose from. You can choose like the classic DCL style in the pattern that they're laid out in, or you can do like a diagonal pattern for each one, or a behind the view pattern. Like if you want to play like a classic role-playing game mode, like from years ago, where you see all your characters from behind and they run forward and attack the bad guys and then run back. I'm going to offer that mode as well. It's you will have active abilities and passive abilities. You choose your active ability, and you just have to learn what it synergizes with. What characters it can shut down, and then you learn to attack your opponents with those abilities, and then also what passives you have that can aid your team or disable your opponents. So in that style, it's almost identical gameplay. But I've also added new elements to it, like the alchemy that you can do in the game, where you can create new abilities. So whenever you go into battle, you'll have your active and passives, but you also have another option called item. And you can click on the item button, and it'll bring up a list of like all your alchemy potions, the elixirs that you created. And like if you take one elixir, it might give you 50% health up, or a heal up for 2 to 3 rounds, or something at like a high percentage, like a 25%, or it could be death immunity, damage immunity, poison immunity. It depends on what potions you mix together to form your elixir to use. So that can like give a character that doesn't have a healing ability a chance to heal themselves during battle. Now they can't go in there and just use potion. It's going to be limited to just one per character, per battle. So you can go in and be like, I have one use of an item, and I can use this as death immunity for 2 turns. And that takes up, your turn to do. But it will help, add things that are lacking in a character you really like. That the only reason you're not bringing them to the table is because they don't have this ability and they'll die. So
Now,
I wanted to add that.
let me ask you a question on the kind of the gameplay portion
Yeah.
that didn't get covered real heavily with you were with M4. Is there going to be, aside from just a standard PvP mode that I would assume is just kind of a leaderboard type thing, is there going to be something more like Siege where it's very skill based and you have limited energy that you can obtain per day type of thing?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm going to have that. I'm actually having two other modes. We're going to have alliance battles, and we'll have raid battles as well as campaign and PvE. I mean, PvP, sorry. For like the alliance wars, it's going to be two modes for that. And like the first mode will be where it's your alliance to take down a big boss. Your alliance members can attack like this boss so many times per day with so much energy. Think of it kind of like how Siege is, but it's just your alliance itself. And the higher up you get, the more you get in the pyramid until you make it to the top, and you get like the prize. And it's going to be things set up for like that is the only way to get a specific character. You can't buy it in the store. You can't win it anywhere else. Your alliance teammates have to get together to win this character. And then the alliance wars will also be your alliance against another alliance, and you battle it out. And I don't have all the details completely worked out for that section yet, but it will be like you'll have a PvP straight mode with each other, but also kind of like completing certain missions inside of the campaign as well will get you so many points, to just beat the other team. And once again, that's another mode where some type of item will be offered there. That's the only way you can get it is if you beat the other team.
Yeah, I wonder
Then we have
how it's got to be probably going to be difficult to figure out. Like, say there's 1,000 alliances out there, or guilds,
hmm
or whatever you call. Are you calling them alliances or guilds or?
it's called Alliance Altered Dimensions.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. But which I will tell you a funny story. I tried to post your video to Reddit, and Reddit said I can't post it because it acted like I was trying to recruit for alliances.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Automod got me.
Mm.
So
Well, that's not good.
yeah, well, I mean, it's just the DC Legends. I'll get.
I
I'm pretty
gotcha.
sure that's just Zubas that hates, yeah.
No, it happened
Pretending to
instantaneously.
be out of mod.
And the other mode I was saying we would have like a raids type event as well with just like specific energy that you can get to accomplish the raids. Um,
And I would beg you not to make it so that I have to play 4 days straight.
it won't. It'll be 5, so you're good.
'Cause-
No, I was just talking to my wife about this morning. I was just like, I will never do that in my game. I was like, that was like the most not, I can't even speak about it. The most
mind numbing.
the most mind numbing experience, sitting there constantly tap, because we autoed everything. We didn't really have there was no strategy behind
No,
it.
it was just. I mean, there was strategy finding the team that works the
And then
best.
after that,
Well,
yeah,
once
That
you
was
that's
take
it.
been
like
Yeah.
established, it's
five
mindless.
minutes, then yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to try and figure out different ways, and that's where I'm going to rely heavily on the beta testers. Like, hey, let's try out this raid platform. What do you guys think about this? Like a 1 day event or maybe a 2 day event for something super special, and that's all we do. We just hit it hard as quick as we can for a day, and then that's how you win. It's not going to be spread out. Boss levels will be according to how much damage or how many characters you defeated moving up, and then that way I'll be able to get your guys' input before any of stuff actually becomes public, and we'll tune it. We'll tune it really good.
Yeah, it's I really like what I'm hearing on the different things that you're coming up with, and the biggest thing will be that everybody has a direct line to you. That don't
Yes.
that's both a positive and a negative, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of stupid ideas. So
hmm
it's people complain about something that even though it's good for the game, that kind of thing. So that's gonna be your biggest challenge, is wading through that.
Yeah. I mean, the best I could do for things like that is maybe we just have like a monthly meeting where we just have like a council and we're like, okay, let's vote on this. Should this be implemented or taken away from the game? Just like how you vote on tier tunes,
Yeah.
we could do that for game implementations or quality of life things. And then that way we can make it the best we can.
I like that. I do have a question for you, Retmus.
Sure.
So you said we're not gonna do mind-numbing things. So that means you're going to rely on strategy to win. So we know hate mail's not very good at those kind of things. So can you be a wallet warrior instead and win? So you know how hate mail used to do things, right?
I did win
Yeah.
Siege twice, M4.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's backing it up, M4, so you know. Um, can you be a wallet warrior? Yes and no. I mean, yes, you can use your wallet to buy more of the characters uh, quicker, I guess, than people that are doing free to play or just, spend less. But you're not going to be able to just jump right in there and buy 4 omnipotent characters. I think I covered a little bit of that
Yeah.
on your stream. I want to make it to where, like, well, if I'm getting this omnipotent character, well, I'll just buy four of these because he's like Spectre, and I'll have four Spectres and I'll dominate the game. I want to avoid that. So I would make a limit of two or
And
something like
hopefully you
that
want
in
to
the store.
avoid just having Spectre, period. So
Oh yeah, I do not want any Spectre slash Trigon, slash Cheshire type characters in the game. That's why I want to try my best to beta test every character with the team that's on the beta testing team to evaluate them, tell me what their pros, cons of each one is, and where they think it should be toned down. And that's the thing is, I'm going to listen to you guys because I'm making it for you guys out there.
yeah.
It's not just, oh no, it's this way. I listened to you, but I decided it's going to be this one. I
While
mean,
we're
I
on
want.
the
Yeah.
omnipotent character discussion,
hmm
so to review for the audience, can you just kind of go through what the different tiers are for characters?
Oh yeah, sure. Do you want me to start from the lowest to the
Yeah,
highest?
just lowest to highest and kind of
Okay,
what the
so
difference between them is.
the lowest character in the game would be your beta type character. And a beta type character has two active abilities and one passive. Uh, but that sounds like, well, these are like the low generic characters you don't want to fool with even getting. Why would I get that when I can get an omnipotent that has four, active and four passives? I mean, they don't stand a chance. But see, the thing is that think of it like an omnipotent character is a jack of all trades, but a beta character is a master of their unique abilities they have. So if I had an omnipotent character and they put a heal on somebody, they could do like a 30% heal on their ability, but like the beta character could do up to 50% heal because they only have two abilities to work with. So it's going to be a little bit higher just for those abilities. And the same thing goes through all the tiers, a little bit. uh, the next one would be your alpha, which is three active abilities and two passives. And basically, the tier system, it's just adding more abilities to your character to spread out your arsenal. Uh, and then the Omega is three active, three passive. And like I said before, the Omnipotent is four active and four passives. But, when you look at the abilities overall, if you're an Omnipotent character, you have eight abilities, that your character can do. So that's why they're omnipotent because, okay, yeah, they might not heal 50% like that one guy can do, but they can also heal or they can also put up shields or they could put up counter strikes. They have such a wide variety. That's what makes them so fantastic. Where the other ones are limited, but they're masters of, those abilities.
So, for
So if
example,
you,
just kind
yeah,
of throw out a hypothetical. So, like a beta character, so let's use an assassin character as an example. Um,
okay.
they would be like if it was just a core damage dealing assassin, they would do the highest damage in the game as a beta versus an omnipotent. But an omnipotent assassin type character might do high damage but has some other tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. But it's not that they would do a tremendous amount more damage. It's usually what they would be best at support type characters. But if they were like an assassin type like you're talking about, they would maybe do 5 to 10% more damage on the normal attack
Okay.
because that is like their only ability.
Right. Okay, that
Where
makes sense.
you can attack as an omnipotent, but when you attack, you would also apply this debuff or gain a buff where the beta one might only just have a plain old attack, or a small buff, something like that. And that's kind of like what differentiates them. So like that's like the same thing. Like Omega's right below Omnipotent, with 3 and 3. So they have about like a 5% more uh, abilities, on their abilities. So if they were going to, like I said, for example, if they were going to heal, if an omnipotent did 30, they would do like 35. So it's as you go down in the lower tiers, they do a little bit more, but they're limited to where the omnipotent's going to win out just because of all their passive skills and abilities they have. But you can't count out those lower tiers because they can support your other omnipotent characters or your other tiers, and you can have this unbelievable synergy between all the characters, and nobody's useless.
So let me ask you another question to follow up on that. So I wouldn't want to just go in and just run four omnipotent characters every time to have the best team.
No.
Okay.
It's because there would be too many techniques all spread out, and while you could make it work, it's better if you go in and be like, okay, well, strategy. I need to make sure this team can put up a good, shield against this other team because they attack with, massive damage. So I need to make sure my team has healing. It needs to have shields. So throw in a beta or an alpha or an omega that has a lot higher healing or shield attribute than just, you relying on your normal, shield or heal. So that way they can boost your team up and they would just make you stronger.
So I like the sound of that because you don't want, the lower tier characters to be ones you don't want to invest in. So if they have a reason to be brought, kind of like where DC Legends had 100, well, 200 plus characters, but there's really only 15 that you really wanted to play with.
Right.
So
Yeah. I want to make sure people, have a variety. I mean, what's the point in having a game with all these characters to play and they're useless?
the only other thing I was a little slightly concerned about is that you offer customization between each character, which is also
Hmm.
it can be a good and bad thing. How do you avoid the game getting stale and balanced if someone can pick four of the same character with the same abilities but change them all around? Like,
Well, I mean, their base abilities, their affinities, is set so they're weak to, an opposite affinity.
okay,
Uh, their abilities and their passives don't change between the two. It's just the skills that they choose can further enhance or empower an ability that they already have. So it could just make it more powerful, or even less powerful to make something else more powerful. Then you also got to think of it like this: if they come in as a team of four, then that means they all have the same exact weakness. So you can exploit that by bringing in a team of one or two that can exploit that weakness, and then a few others that you want to keep them alive, power them up. So just bringing four in doesn't mean you're going to dominate, even if you have four hate mails in there.
right.
You know,
But
I
that
mean, you
will
got
definitely not dominate anything.
And just so the audience knows, there will be four hate mails. Well, there will be hate mail in the game, since when we get into the Indiegogo, I am able to make a character, which we'll get into heavily here shortly. Um,
all right.
so
So
let's
I mean, so just think of like that. I mean, yeah, it's going to be cool to have four of your same, four the same, but I mean, like even if you had DC Legend style and you went up against four specters right off the bat, you could come in with someone that puts up debuff immunity to stop him from getting his int ups. So if you bring someone in, it automatically does that. Then you bring someone in does his like massive, AOE's, that's strong against that affinity. You'll be able to take that team out because they all have the base same techniques, so they should be able to be wiped out easily. I mean,
okay.
not necessarily easily, but because you did point out their skills, you could have like one hate mail that uses nothing but shields, as their skills, boosting up their shields, or you might take another one that boosts up the defense, or another one that boosts up speed, or another one that boosts up their attack power. So that's kind of like, I think that's what kind of makes it not stale, because you get a variety of how you build your characters.
Well, the community will find what's the most min max and gravitate
Oh
towards
yeah,
that. Which that's
yeah.
you're gonna have a fun time balancing all this customization. it's,
That's fine.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. But
Yeah.
um,
So hate mail, is your character going to stun?
I feel like it has to. Like I want to kind of keep the Court of Owls theme, so be an assassin-looking character wearing a suit and some type of like owl mask type thing, where it's not directly Court of Owls, but it's kind of has a similar vibe. And then I feel like it has to stun. challenge I'm running into now is I can't decide if I want to go with like a hate mail type character similar to the one that you see on the AAD podcast art, or if I want to do like a hot chick because they're more fun to look at while you're playing. So I'm going back and forth because I figured hate male she could be have an origin story where she hates men. So
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
but I don't know. It's I'm chewing on it. I got a little bit of time to decide
Well, you
still.
just gave me an idea.
I mean, think about
Uh,
the characters you like playing with the most: Starfire, Blackfire, Fire and Ice. So I'm like,
yeah.
those are the characters
You're
I'd.
you're right. Hot chicks sell more, so
Yeah,
yeah.
so I mean, it's good for the games, good for Retmus selling characters. So yeah, there is some benefits if we choose that.
True. That's true.
So
I'm not opposed.
one other question about the game before we get into the Indiegogo, and then I have questions, follow-up questions after we go through that.
Sure.
Is you mentioned the puzzle games. You said you
Hmm.
don't have to play those, but will like as a you know I'm a Court of Owls member. We're trying to be the top alliance in the game. Do I
Right.
need to play the puzzle games to be competitive, or can I just buy them?
Well, well, first of all, they won't all be puzzle games. There'll be shooters, there'll be hack and slash games, there'll be endless runners. It's going to be a bunch of genre of games. It's just the first ones I did were puzzle games to check some
Yeah.
proof of concepts to see if it worked, and they all came out really well. The mini games were meant for you just to enjoy them and to earn a little bit of extra rewards in the process. It's not required at all to play. It just gives you a little bit of extra uh, items if you do. So if you just want to kill, a little bit of time, but you don't have enough time to get into a long battle or something like that, but you just want to jump in something just to kill some time. You're sitting at a light, or you're at a doctor's office just sitting there and you don't have enough time to go into like a full raid battle or something like that. This is just a time killer, and some people just enjoy a break from the RPG style game, but they don't want to lose out on getting any extra energy or something like that. So I thought I would offer a little tiny bit of a reward if you're able to complete levels, but none of it is required. If you want to go to the store and just buy the same thing, you can just use some of your gems and pick
Okay.
up the same exact stuff.
Yeah, that was my main question because I'm the person who doesn't
Yeah.
usually want to play
It,
those types of games. So
and I was thinking of using that also as a platform for people to demo my other games that I'm going to be creating as well. Like you can play like the first level or something as a mini game and get your reward. And if you like that type of game, you can go try out the other type of game I'm making or something like that. Because we're going to, once this takes off and it starts doing well, we want to expand and start making other games and other genres, and put those out there on PC, Windows, even game consoles.
Oh wow, that's that's quite a roadmap you have planned there.
Yes, it's what I'm slowly working towards. My goal is to retire from my job within the next year or two and do this for the rest of my life.
I was going to say maybe you should reconsider monetizing this a little bit. I know not through, gouging people to, just get pay $100 for a character, but more like, oh, I need to do some more cosmetic stuff. Like, what are those games that do that? Like Fortnite, right? So
Mhm.
heavily monetized, but does not affect the gameplay. So maybe you can retire sooner and focus game development full time.
Mm, I mean, anything's possible. This one is the one, it's kind of like my dream type game, the game I want to play, and I want everybody else to play it, and I don't want it to fall into that like Raid Shadow Legends vibe every 5 seconds and ads popping in your face to buy
Oh
something.
yeah, that don't do that.
Yeah,
That
I,
turns
I don't
people
I
off.
don't like those mechanics in games, and I don't want this to break people's wallets because, like I said previously, some people just can't afford stuff. And like when I said that, like no item would be in my game for like 99.99. Let me clarify that a little bit. I'm not going to sell like a character for $99.99, or I'm not even going to sell one for $50. but I will offer value packs up to 99.99 to where you don't have to go in there and go, okay, well, I'm going to purchase this character. Now I'm going to get 20,000 gems. Now I'm going to get this much energy. I'm going to I'll put them all in a pack and give you an extra discount so you can buy it all at once. But I'm not going to make single items that you have to go in there and be like, oh man, I got to spend $100 on this character. No, my pricing, and I think I've sent you both the pricing that I'm thinking of, and I believe that's extremely fair.
No, it's definitely very on the cheaper side for mobile gaming.
Right, and you really need to make those big packs because you're gonna get complaints from hate mail or burger that I don't want to tap this like 50 times. Just give me a pack to get them
And
done.
that's
Or
well,
give me a
that's what
little
I
plus mark there I can just
yeah,
turn it to 10, 20, 30, you know.
right. Well, and that's why I was thinking with the value packs, but I don't want people to think I'm going against my word where I said because I believe I did say no like item itself, like no single character or single item like that would be that cost. I just wanted to clarify. I will put other price up here just for that fact of like if hate mail or M4 Burger or anybody like that wants to buy a bunch of them, they don't have to sit there and wait for an authorization for a credit card, click it again, wait for another one, click it again. I'll just have those options for people that want to do that, but you're not going to have to worry about ever purchasing a character that expensive.
Gotcha. Why don't we do a couple more of the questions around gameplay, and then
Sure.
I'm actually going to break this into two episodes because people tend to drop off after 20 minutes, and that way we
Okay.
can have one that's just strictly about the Indiegogo.
Okay.
So, the other question I have, and then those of you still listening to this one, it'll come out almost simultaneously as the other one, so you can you can listen to either one. But the next one I kind of had was you mentioned on M4 Stream that you would be able to see like hackers doing extra damage. But what happens if someone uses a hack to get items or gems or just they up their they're like sneaky about it and they just give themselves a 10% bump in defense or offense? You don't have to tell us how you're going to do it, but is there ways for you to mitigate that?
Um, yes. I mean, there's some ways that you can really crack down on it. It's going to take a little bit to be able to do it. I mean, everybody here knows there's no way to make a hack-free game
Yeah,
because billion-dollar companies get their games hacked every day that have teams that are focused on this, right?
right.
But I'm going to work, towards making it as hack-free as possible, and I do have some implementations that I can add. I can't, like you said, I can't really share these on there because later on, someone that starts playing the game, they're a hacker, they could come back and listen to these podcasts or whatever, and they can be like, oh, well, that's how I did it. That's how I can circumvent what he just did. Okay, so now I know how he went about doing it. Now I know how to break it. So I don't want to technically list them, but I mean, all I can say is that I will constantly work to add anti-hack methods, as the game progresses. And there are ways with, server connections and comparisons and, just to be generalized broad to try to
Yeah.
verify, if all of a sudden they got something they shouldn't have.
One thing I've noticed that DC Heroes of Villains recently added to the game was a mode where they could go back and rewatch a match. So I don't know if
Yes.
that's something that you could implement, or even to take some of the weight off your back. One of the things I always thought would be a cool idea would be to make it so that, so say I have
Replay.
a team, yeah, replay on my defensive team, and then if I see
Hmm.
something, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that guy shouldn't do that much damage. I could report it.
Yes, M4 and I did discuss that. Um, it is 100% possible to do that, and it's not super hard to do it. Um, excuse me. I would have to set that up on like the test server so I can see different ways to implement it to see how much traffic that will cause because it's got to store
Yeah,
each match record into memory. And I got to see how much of a hit because, I'm going to, if you have a game out there and it's free to play, you're going to get, hundreds, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people playing it for free and never spend a penny on the game. So that would just be eating into more costs I have to pay out, and it's not good, profit,
right.
ratio, right? So that would be something I can implement on the test server for you guys to try out, and then that way I could get statistics from it to see how much it, would really,
Yeah, and
impact.
maybe only for certain game modes that it would actually matter.
Right. Like maybe, yeah, for big contests or anything like that,
Yeah,
I could store like on your boards or whatever you're doing, like the last 5 or 10 matches or something like that. So you can go in there and check them and find out what's going on, and just you can hit a button and just watch it.
yeah. Maybe it only
Because
stays for 24 hours, and then
yeah, yeah. I mean, staying there doesn't really matter. It's just the initial,
yeah,
push to it, the write, and then the reading from it can just be read all at the same time for all the matches at once. Load into your game, and then you can just choose what you want, to view. So that's not really the issue. It's just, like I was saying, finding that fine balance. And as it picks up, if it, I start making a little bit more profit, I can invest more time into it to add these quality of life features that you guys want. Because I would like to have a replay feature too. I'd like to be able to do it to where you could even share it between alliance mates or something, like, hey, check out this battle I did, and you just click a button and then you click the other person and send it right to them, and then they can just play it in their like play mode and see it.
gotcha. M4, do you have any other game-related questions before we move on to the Indiegogo portion of the podcast?
Not right now. I think I asked most of the things I cared about in my stream with Retpmus.
Okay. Well, why don't we wrap it up here, and we will have a new episode strictly about the Indiegogo campaign and how you can become involved. If you're listening to this episode and you want to become involved, go ahead and just click the link. He describes it all out. If you want more details on it, listen to the following episode after this one. And with that, thanks for listening, everyone.
Hello, everyone. It's yours truly, the AB. Thanks for listening to the show, and won't you please consider becoming a Patreon? I am, and let me tell you, it's easy, super easy. Just head over to patreon.com/WROL broadcast. Be the first one to get the inside scoop with exclusive content, early reviews. Listen, packages start as low as $1. That's less than a handful of gems. Even an old man like me can do it. And I'm at the age where I want 2 girls. Just in case I fall asleep, they'll have someone to talk to.